Look at all these politicians we have in there. They're all fucking corrupt.
Yeah,
and then, well, see, and then, you see, everything's gonna go good though.
I think he was.
You see, I'm more Bible believing Christian. We're gonna go into the tribulation, don't say, sit the Antichrist in the new.
He does the
What is it? We're Christian, I can't remember the name.
Right, that's.
The New Testament.
Right.
He's gonna claim to
When I
be
sit
God.
down texting.
But see, we're gonna have 3 years of good. And then all hell's gonna break loose. And look what's going on. It's starting to look good, right?
He wanted you to say.
Are we in the tribulation now? Is it going good? Is it gonna make whoever's in charge good? Or is Trump paving the way for the Antichrist?
Se fue tu compadre. I said a 5-minute break, but well, we're gonna start without him because if he doesn't want to join the meeting, he's at the park across the street.
Took all his papers with him.
Yeah. Is Jim Ray on?
Yes.
I am here. Can you hear me?
Jim, how are you? Okay, we're back in session.
I'm good. How are y'all doing?
Good.
Can you hear him?
Can you put the speaker or whatever you did?
Okay, Mr. Ray, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me okay?
Can you hear okay, or you want the speaker?
Can you hear him?
Not very well.
Not very well.
Okay, give me just a second, Mr. Ray, to switch the speaker around.
No, I was just like, I confronted them about it as soon as I saw it. And then I did it.
This year is, but they can, the attorney can, I can't,
Sorry, Mr. Ray, we're trying to find an extra plug in here so we can put a speaker so they can hear you better. I apologize.
I have to.
Oh, no problem. We're great.
Thank you.
That's what my wife feels.
That you had it?
This kind of helps me a lot. This helps me a lot. I keep, just to make me. Look about it.
So they have so many out now, and you know what, they've improved them a lot. Because I remember people back in the day, and they always complained about the background noise. But still, even as good as some folks are, because you can have them and you control it when you're done working it. That's how advanced they've been. And then they're, you really don't even see who's been up in there.
Dr. Bertrand is supposed to be setting
Around
down
and they-
an appointment with the ear guy in Pueblo. I told him last time I went to him,
Like your glasses.
I can't understand.
No. Yeah, I talked with that thing. Can't hear you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, this has helped me a lot.
So can you move it like right here maybe? Or
Maybe. We can just-
can you plug it in if you move it right here?
I put it out there to the speaker. I could put it out there.
We could try it. Let's just move it
It has
over.
different- see, like
If I have to hold the camera.
Just like the whole table maybe?
And then if I move it.
What have I connected to?
The
plug.
Right here.
All right.
I mean, you hear me or not?
It really helps me.
I think the lawyer.
That's not gonna go. Oh, but you're unplugging the speaker.
Oh, is that the?
Yeah, that's the speaker. It's gonna be difficult.
Maybe let's see if we set it there.
Well, I noticed you know.
We can-
Okay, Mr. Ray, can you try speaking to see if they can hear you better now?
Yes, is this working?
But she didn't always.
Is that better, Gary?
Can you hear now? Hi, Jim.
Hey, again, good evening.
We're trying to get you so they can hear you.
Can you hear me or not?
I can hear you fine. Yeah, you can have this one.
And maybe if I just hold the speaker there.
You can have this, that's no problem.
Yeah, that won't come out.
I tried.
Linda,
Okay, this is the best I think we're getting.
Try it now.
I felt threatened.
Can you all hear better now?
I can
Can
hear
you hear
fine.
better now? No.
You want to sit over here? You want to trade places?
No, it's all right.
You wanna borrow one of these?
Sorry.
I want to borrow Frank's.
His are probably better than mine.
Maybe you could just set that on there and see.
Go ahead and try speaking, Mr. Ray.
Yes. Is this better?
Yeah.
That's better.
Okay. So to begin, I think we need to recognize the town and its staff for working to get these audits done, because we're digging up a lot of old information and asking questions about things that happened a relatively long time ago. We also want to say that we appreciate the amount of work that the mayor is doing in terms of coordinating the audits and answering our questions. It's not in any of these letters, but we believe that the town should consider setting up an audit committee to interact and interface with us to determine that the audit process is going fairly smoothly, to determine what is missing, to determine that our recommendations are reviewed and either implemented, or determined that there is no cost benefit to implementation. And finally, really to determine if we, as the town's auditors, are doing the work we should be doing. So again, we suggest that the town look at the formation of an audit committee. The final thing I want to say as we start this process is obviously the town is late with its audits, but this is not the first time this has happened. If you go back and you look in, the 2000 teens, you'll see the property taxes were withheld during that period, again, because of late audits. I think the best place to start with this presentation is with the material weakness letter. And that letter basically says material weakness in the middle of the page and discusses these weaknesses. A material weakness is the most severe comment the town can get in terms of its internal controls. It says that the internal control process is not strong enough to avoid material misstatements occurring in the financial statements. So the first thing I want to emphasize to the board, although you probably already know it, is what we're saying in this letter is fairly important and has significant ramifications for the town. The town did not, or has not, in any of the audits we have done, received an unmodified opinion. The audits have had a scope limitation because we've not been able to determine as your auditors what the correct balances are. In some cases, what the transactions were for. The material weaknesses in your audit, and I don't mean to belabor a point, but I'm going to go through these because I think they're important. cash balances are overstated. Because we have no reconciliations, I cannot tell you the exact amount of the overstatement, but the book balance, the amounts on the city's financial records, is approximately $80,000 higher than the balances in the bank. So obviously, the city does not have $80,000 of resources that it may have thought it had when preparing its budget or making financial decisions. Not all of the cash transactions were recorded. In 2021, electronic deposits and withdrawals, the town just simply stopped recording those in their general ledger. For 22, we restated the beginning balances for the effect of these cash transactions. The net of all of these was about a positive $24,000. The same issue occurred in 2022, that not all of the cash transactions were recorded. The town needs to make reconciling its bank statements a top priority, amongst other things related to the audit. There is no listing of utility receivables by customer or by the fund it belongs to. It's our understanding that that report can be done on an immediate basis, but that the town cannot go back today and get a report of receivables by customer as of December 31. The natural gas receivable is almost 20% of its annual revenues. That sounds high, but again, given the time of year, it might be right. Until we get those reports, we can't tell what the correct balance should be. The town does not have a list of accounts receivable, amounts owed to vendors after the end of the fiscal year, or accrued liabilities. In prior years, beginning balances were rolled forward. For example, in 2020, they were rolled forward from in November of 2023. In that roll forward, there was $167,000 of water accounts payable, which was recorded on the general ledger. That is about the amount of expenses for that fund for the year. So obviously, this number right now in 22 is overstated. Once the payable to the town engineer is recorded, the town may owe, or the water fund may have accounts payable of more than $150,000. There is also accrued liabilities, which are amounts owed to employees or amounts owed to others. There is no listing of these amounts either, but one of the accounts in the general fund is an accrued liability to the enterprise funds for receipts of enterprise revenues. That balance was over $50,000 at the end of 2022. That account probably should not be there. It's probably not owed to anybody. So the town needs to go through its records again and determine and book the correct amount of accrued liabilities. Excuse me. Sorry, excuse me again. There is no listing of capital assets. The town has been unable to provide a listing of capital assets since 2016. When doing our work, we're finding that there are some additions. Those get recorded and depreciation gets rolled forward year to year. This is a pretty significant area for the town because coming up with capital assets or fixed asset balances is going to be difficult. we have contacted some of your predecessor auditors and nobody has a list. The town needs to go and try to determine by observance what capital assets it has. It then needs to try to determine when that capital asset was built or purchased, and then it needs to estimate a historical cost for that asset. So you can see from those steps, this is not going to be a very easy process. But again, in order to get a clean, unmodified audit opinion, this is going to have to be done. The thing that's going to have to start occurring in the 2023 audit, although we started it in 2021, is to determine how much of an asset there is for the new water systems. This year, in 2022, there was no listing of vacation owed to town staff. However, I believe Sarah's put that together and we will use that for the 23 audit. The volunteer firefighter plan is pretty small, pretty immaterial. And if I was prioritizing things to do, this would be pretty low on the list. But there's a GASB statement that says that the plan's assets and liabilities and liabilities for future pension payments needs to be reported and footnoted in your financials. That requires an actuary to make some determinations and tell the town what those numbers are. That is a summation of what material weaknesses we found. And so I would like to go on to the other recommendations in that report on page 3. The first one is the town needs to monitor its financial health. It may indicate in the 2025 audit that the town does not have enough assets or owes so much money to others that it may not be able to continue in existence through the end of 2026. The town is going to need to determine if it can operate in future fiscal years. And if not, that needs, again, to be disclosed in your financial statements. In order to be able to do that, obviously, the town needs correct financial statement numbers to determine where it is at. The general ledger and the town's financial records are missing so much information that we don't know what the final numbers will look like. There are some revenues that are, for example, for the year ending 12/31/22 that are received in 23, but should be recognized as revenues in 22. We've talked about the cash problems. We've talked about the accounts payable problems. Again, we just don't know what the final numbers are going to look like. But the town and you as the board of trustees are making financial decisions on which you have not had good financial information for a very long period of time. The town needs to begin to look at its documentation for the 2025 audit, even though we're still talking about 2022. There is a requirement of local government grantees that if they receive more than $750,000 in federal financial assistance or loans or a combination thereof, they have to have a single audit. That may be required for 23, 24, or 25. Again, it's dependent on the timing of the expenditures and the loan proceeds. The problem with a single audit is we, as your financial statement auditors, are required to audit the town's compliance with grant and loan requirements and to also audit its internal control systems to see if it can administer those grants. If we had had to do a single audit for the year ending 2022, we would have had to report material weaknesses to the feds in that report. Obviously, it goes without saying that might cause issues with the USDA. And the other thing that occurs in the government arena is before the feds give anybody grant funds, they're supposed to assess that entity's ability to administer those funds. These reports and other issues may result in the town not getting grants that it needs because the federal government has determined it can't administer them. Again, and I know I said it earlier, but I'll reemphasize it. The first and most important thing to do is get a handle on cash, and you cannot do that until it is reconciled. What we would suggest is starting with 12/31/24 and trying to determine what the outstanding deposits and the outstanding checks are by perhaps going back to September of 24 and looking at what transactions and checks have not yet cleared the bank. In this letter, excuse me 1 second. In this letter on the page 4, we start talking about compensating controls. These are controls. The town's obviously too small to be able to have the set of controls based on segregation of duties. You and everybody else your size just don't have the staff to do it. As a result, you need to put into place compensating controls. And that basically is a review of financial operations and reconciliations and things such as this. What I would say to you, perhaps in a comment that is fairly snarky, is the town needs these controls so that it does not end up in the World Journal talking about its utility billing systems like one of your neighboring cities. It also needs these controls to ensure that it never has problems completing audits or giving town management and the Board of Trustees the information they need to operate. Once the numbers are good or starting to get good, the Board of Trustees and management should receive monthly financial reports of the balance sheet, the income statement, and budget to actual statements. If the budget to actual statements appear to be way different in terms of what is budgeted and what is expended, that could be a problem either with the budget, with the way actual transactions are recorded, or a combination of both. But it's a fairly good control and an important control to ensure that these two amounts are syncing up. There's a little more information that is needed on invoices. We would suggest that invoices include who approved them, what account they are charged to, and the check number that or the electronic transaction that paid those amounts. Are there any questions about this report before we go over the required communication to the board from the audit process? Okay, the second document that I would like to briefly look at is the letter to those charged with governance. And the first underlined item on that is significant audit matters. This is required communication to the board after the Enron scandal to make sure that we as your auditors report what we did to the board and they understand what occurred and that there was no collusion or problems with the information presented to the board. This is a checklist. No answers are what you would expect. First of all, under the significant accounting policies, the town did implement GASB Statement 87, which requires the town to take its operating leases and book the assets involved in those leases as a town's asset and to record long-term debt. As a result, the town now has an asset for its postage meter and the copier. All financial statements include estimates because we don't have, the first estimate is how long capital assets are going to last. Is a vehicle that you purchase going to last 5 years or 10 years? That's an estimate that affects the amount of depreciation expense recorded. The second estimate, and although again it's a very small plan, are the actuarial assumptions about the firefighter pension plan. In other words, how long the firefighter is going to collect benefits, what kind of rate of return the pension plan can receive on its assets. All of those type of issues are actuarial assumptions that need to be reported in the financial statement, and again are also a significant estimate. In the middle of page 2 of this letter, you can see a listing of the audit adjustments we proposed. The good news is this year, unlike prior years, there were no issues with beginning balances. Total audit proposed adjusting entries were almost $340,000. This is almost half the expenditures of the town. So the audit adjustments are still a fairly significant and fairly large number. The other thing I will tell you that is in this letter is that we had no disagreements with management about accounting issues, but we did report that overall getting the information we need was an audit difficulty. That, in a brief summary, is the letter required to be reported to you in terms of this audit. Before I briefly go over the financial statements, are there any questions on this letter? Finally, again, I want to look at the financial statements for just a few minutes. And as I said before, the town received a limited scope audit opinion and has since 2019. It goes without saying that we as your auditors don't have much confidence in the numbers that are reported, and that when the town gets good numbers, they may not look anything like what is here. One of the things we would suggest the town doing is consult with its attorney to determine if the $60,000 that is in the pension trust fund can be used for operations. Your trust payment, the pension payments for the year are $975 a month. So that $60,000 is not needed to make next year's payments. But again, it could be used for operations. If I were a member of this board, here are the things I would be concerned about in this financial statement. Obviously, the first issue is modified scope limitation opinions. The second thing is the water fund has current liabilities, next year's liabilities, that are $235,000 more than current assets. As I said, we know accounts payable right now is overstated, but one of the large current liabilities is the $272,000 that the water fund owes to the natural gas fund. Both the water fund and the natural gas fund had negative operating income. As an enterprise fund is set up to break even and to get enough fees in to be able to pay its expenses, operating income should always be positive. Actual expenditures exceeded budgeted expenditures in the water, general, and natural gas funds. For the water fund, the expenditures were $61,000 more than the budget. And this is about a third of the amounts which were budgeted. As I said earlier, the board should review budget to actual financial statements on an interim basis. If it appears that a fund is going to have actual expenditures in excess of the amounts budgeted, it should formally do a supplemental appropriation, which requires all of the publications and all of the work that adopting the original budget did. In note 3 to the financial statements, it talks about cash and investments. And what you can see is that the actual bank balance, again, is $20,000 less than the book balance. And the Collar Trust balance is $60,000 less than the book balance. The town also has a significant amount of restricted cash, and it needs to determine what that exact amount of restricted cash is, and then ensure that those amounts are funded. Again, as I said earlier, the water fund owes a significant amount to the gas fund, but so does the general fund. It owes the gas fund about $150,000. This was the first year, 2022, that the general fund actually had a cash balance to where that amount could be paid off. And finally, again, if I were a board member, what is reported in note 9 would worry me a lot. And what's there, as we talked about last year, is compliance with USDA and federal grant requirements. The feds, the USDA, may determine that amounts were not spent correctly, and they may ask the town to repay those amounts. And that could be significant and a heavy financial burden on the town. So that is one thing we know the trustees are keeping their eyes on. But again, we think that is a very important issue. That, in summary, is our presentation of the 2022 audit. Are there any questions?
We don't have a time machine.
Once the board approves this draft and we get the management representation letter back from the town, we will file this audit with the state auditor's office, and hopefully you can get some more property taxes. Because of the issue of not recording electronic deposits or withdrawals in 2021, we are going to have to adjust the 2021 balances and reissue that audit report. Again, that is really the summary of what we would like to tell the board.
Excuse me, can you tell us what page we're on again, please?
We're done. He's done. He's done with this.
You guys looking all over.
Oh, no, I'm looking for, to present it to the board for acceptance. I was just looking for the letter. Are you still there, Jim Ray?
Oh, yes, I'm still here.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Ray? No questions?
No.
Hopefully we can start out the new year a lot better.
So he's gonna start eventually on 23. And I'm sure it's gonna be, I mean, we're still gonna have missing information and whatnot. But everything that we have, we're supplying it to him.
And again, I cannot emphasize enough how your financial statement auditor is probably going to have to do a compliance audit of the USDA monies. And that is a fairly significant audit.
So is that really gonna hurt us a lot?
Yeah, I think so, because again, everything that we said that was a material weakness in the audit opinion and in the material weakness letter is going to have to be reported to the feds. In addition to that, we're going to have to tell them about the internal control systems of the town and whether they are effective, properly designed, and properly implemented. If your auditor comes to the conclusion that either they are not properly designed or they are not properly implemented, then that also has to be reported to the feds. I do think it could be an issue with getting funding in grant funding in future years. And the town's also going to have to write a corrective action plan to the feds and tell them how the problems are going to be corrected, when they're going to be corrected, and when they're going to be corrected.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Ray.
I'm sorry?
Thank you.
Thank you. If anyone has any questions, please let us know. Mayor, would you please send us an email if the board approves this audit, and we will get it wrapped up and sent to the state?
As soon as I get their votes on the acceptance of this audit, I will send you the letter. So if you don't get it tonight, you will have it in the morning.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you for
Good
your
night.
time.
Thank you for your time.
I just motion we accept it because what else are we gonna do?
And with that respect, I ask the board to accept the 2022 audit as is.
I'll make a motion.
I already did.
I did, well, I second it.
Motion, we accept it.
I second it.
Bless you. Roll call? We don't have time to sneeze.
Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes.
Mr. Brojas,
Yes.
Ms. Galvin,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Romero,
Yes.
Mr. Trio.
Yes.
Do you think that the IRS or the Colorado auditing department is gonna buy into this thing?
They've accepted our audit. Now, I have a letter, and we gotta find it, a letter to the board. And it's from Crystal Dorsey, and it was sent to the town back in November, and it was on the 2019 audit. And she called me last Friday and she resent it because we never received it. And I told her the town does not do home delivery.
Nope.
So apparently it was sent back. So I have till the 18th to come up with a plan, just like Jim Ray just said now. So I have till then to get it done and submit it to the state. And so he just, and I can get together with him to work this out, to send it to him. But yeah, Crystal knows, she's aware of the fact that we have a lot of missing information. And that's what's held up the audits and,
You know, it's gonna take you ladies, not us, you and the ladies in the office. It's gonna be a while before you're out from under the previous shadows.
It's gonna take a while.
the,
Long time.
he anticipates the end of May for 2023. And on 2024, we know pretty much what he's asked for on audit, so we're good there. I mean, I'm not saying that it's gonna be perfect, but I know that from September of last year going forward, there's been a lot of documentation, they've done a lot of research and, you know, like I said, Sarah has spent a lot of time doing, you know, the entries into the,
Budgets.
yeah. And then Stephanie has been working on the others, and there's a lot of stuff that both of these girls know and they've been doing and, you know, well, not know, but they've had to learn. It's been hard, but they've done it.
Yeah.
They've done a good job. And I thank them.
Definitely.
So next time, if nobody has any questions, we can go on to water line on Aspen, and you have a picture of it.
Right here.
Yes. At the back of your, no, underneath. That would be your last page, I believe, Gerald. Yeah.
Still hiding it, huh?
I see a face in here. See?
Yeah, right there.
No, oh, I'm looking at the wrong one. You see right here?
Yeah.
There's a face. Do you see that? Yeah.
Oh, there's two pictures.
Yeah, that's what I said, right here, there's a big old face.
Oh my God. It's haunted.
There's a little guy with a arm like
That is a water line. See the corrosion?
Wow.
that, but see the guy with the water head, the
He's
hand on
holding
the
his hand
pipe.
on pipe. Sorry.
I'll go ahead and do this on canvas for you guys and submit it to you.
This is Bob down there checking the water line.
You see it, Frank?
Yeah.
You see it?
Yeah,
This is-
Yeah.
it's right there, and look at the foot.
So
You see it?
You see it? Yeah, you see it.
What do you
the
think?
town is asking for permission to get these lines repaired.
The whole body.
And it's gonna cost us a few dollars. We don't have an exact amount.
Where exactly is this at?
By Jolly's,
Jollies.
at Jolly's.
Way out there, out of the city limits,
Yes, I believe so.
out of the city limits.
One of the things
So-
that,
It's town water.
Yeah,
It's our pipes.
well,
Is
right
it
at the
on
city
property?
limits, there's a shut off
Right?
that runs that way, and then how far are we gonna go out? Cause that line goes all the way to Tumbarelli's.
Yeah, it does.
yep,
I mean, how far are we gonna go out of the city limits with these
repairs.
meters?
Go ahead.
So basically, we have an ordinance stating that the lines are from our main to where the customer's meter is at is the town's responsibility. From the meter inward on their side is their responsibility. And I know some of the lines are privately owned. This one is not privately owned. It starts at Aspen and Fir on the corner, and it goes all the way past Jolly's. I mean, Bagley's, I'm not sure exactly where that is also on this line. But we've had, in the last month, had to repair this line in the vicinity of Jolly's because it's so deteriorated. So we had a break there that started probably 4 months or longer, 6 months ago. And it had been leaking all this time until Derek finally started. We were able to have him go out there and repair it. While he's under the impression it broke a few feet further down last week. So the line's been there since the 60s. And I mean, Derek is saying that basically it's so old, and you see the pipe, that we're gonna have to repair it from Aspen and Fir all the way down at least to Jolly's. Right now, Bagley, they do have a tap there. It's been on maintenance for years. So we don't have to go that far unless Bagley ever wanted water turned on. But the ordinance does state for our lines, I mean, we own them. It's kind of the situation with that other dig that the tap was voided at the last meeting. We had to go from our main all the way to their property, and that was, I think, 475 feet, but because it was on their property, she had to pay for the bill. It is still, the town would have had to replace that whole line if something were to break from the main all the way to the property, and it was 475 feet. So I mean, some of the lines I know going down Chevetto's are customer owned, they're private, we can't tap onto them. I don't know about Tamborelli's line, is that one their responsibility? But I'm quite, Derek is saying that this one is the town's line. We are able to tap. In fact, there's another house on Aspen that if they were gonna do this repair, they would probably go ahead and try to tap that house on. So I mean, it is a long way, but it's in our ordinances. We're responsible for the line from our main to their meter.
Well,
If we're gonna have to replace the line, I would suggest maybe moving the meters closer this way then, and then later on, I mean, if we have to pay to replace it, we replace it now, but put the meters closer to in town, that way they're responsible the next time. Another 40,
And I
50
don't
years.
even know where that
I don't
meter, do you
know.
know where the meter is? That I don't.
Mr. Romero.
No, I'm wondering how,
Mr. Romero did that, we was talking about.
no, I was asking how the heck you gonna do meters, separate meters for, how
You
many lines?
could
will
number
go?
them and pipe off into them each individually.
Well,
And then
one of
run a
the
line from there to the
things,
house.
one of the things that Stephanie came up with was trying to use that assistance grant that we got for 25,000. We have to get Mauricio, that's, you know,
Yes, please.
that has to be.
Yeah.
But, you know, she was gonna order water meters and all that, but we may have to put that on hold to try to use it to repair this.
Well, if this needs to be done, we should.
It has to
yeah,
be
if it
done,
has
I
to,
mean, we
should.
can't let that go,
No.
because if we do, they're gonna be out there every weekend repairing it, you know, so it's gonna cost the town money to go that route.
Can we find out if it is a private or if it's town owned?
It's town.
It's town. And my biggest problem is Derek is saying it's gonna take 50, 60 hours of work to dig it, replace the line. He can only do part-time, you know, on the weekends. And I'm still trying to twist his arm and bend his ear to, if maybe we could start it on a Friday night, then him and Rich dig Saturday and Sunday one weekend. They'd have to leave it exposed as they over on the weekends try to get it dug all the way out, and we'd have to cone it or something. I don't know safety wise what to do, but if not, Derek said we'd have to probably get an outside contractor, and I don't know who we get. Or
I
does
suggested
suggest
DNB.
D&B Plumbing. I don't know if they'll do a job like that. So basically, we're trying to just get approval to go ahead and get some kind of bulk plan in the works in case it busts again. But Derek's thinking now that we keep fixing it, the pressure is just, the line keeps busting. So
How big of a pipe is it, you know?
I want to say it's a 3/4 inch right now, but they want to change it to a 2-inch.
To what?
I thought it was a 2-inch.
Yeah. And see, I don't think so, because Derek said if we're gonna go ahead and I'm taking Derek's word on everything just because he basically knows the water system pretty well. So I'm pretty sure he said it was a 3/4 inch now, but he wants to do a 2-inch so that it would suffice and, you know, feed off the people. And then they wanted to hook up, I don't know, John Budd's house is there now. I don't know who was there. That's in another, connected to, there's 2 meter pit or meters in one pit. He said that one they could run there, it would work better. But I know they want to do 2-inch, and he said that we had quite a bit of pipe for it here, but we probably need more. And I want to say he said it was PVC that we have here in the yard somewhere, and that wouldn't be enough, but we do have some of it. So my suggestion to Mayor was that instead of using that water quality grant money to buy meter taps, I had gotten enough quote for everything to install 3 water taps. But if the board isn't going to be looking at installing water taps, I was going to see if we can revise our work with the state and see if we could use it for water parts. I mean,
I think that if you submitted these and it becomes an issue that we have to address immediately, they may approve it. And so therefore, I think your request would
Should
be
be, yeah.
accepted, but you need to send those to Margaret. So then she knows that, you know, this is something that we need to do immediately.
right, and I did
I
email
mean, we'll
her.
hold off till they give us
Yeah,
grant money,
yeah.
but
And actually with the grant money, we got the contract, it just needed to be reviewed, approved, and then we could start buying stuff. But I asked Mayor and Senior, maybe we need to revise what we're asking, because we can only spend it on the money on what is in the
just
contract.
water.
And
Yeah.
just for water, but I mean, we can't say we're buying water taps and then spend it on line, for this other leak we have. So I'm trying to revise the scope of work with them, because we pay it up front, and then the state, I send in the receipts, whatever, and then they reimburse the town. So I have to make sure all of our
It's
ducks
a
are in
purchase
order.
order.
Yeah,
How much
So
more
if-
would it cost for the 2-inch pipe compared to the 3/4 inch pipe?
I have not looked into anything yet. This just came up last Saturday, I believe. So we, Rich and Derek looked at it. We had to wait for Derek to have a day to deal with it. So they did it this past Sunday with the weather and everything. And they had just gotten Jolly's driveway and everything fixed yesterday. So I haven't looked at anything yet. So I can get a quote and verify what that line is right now, and then see what the difference is for upgrading to a 2-inch line.
Can I throw something at you guys?
No,
I don't wanna
because you
get
might
hurt.
hit us.
Well, by God, I want to talk about it right
You
now.
can talk about it, but don't throw anything at us.
Okay. What happens if we take, this thing is a 3.5 to 3-inch line. Why can't we get a 2-inch plastic and force it down the damn tube? And then we just have to dig out,
And go through the whole tube?
yeah.
What if it doesn't go through the whole tube? What if there's something stuck in there?
What could just
Who
Yeah,
knows?
measure and dig
Hey,
where
who
it's stuck.
knows what's in these evil things? Look, Charity saw a
You know,
face.
it would be
There's
cheaper to
space,
do
there's
it
a
that
couple
way than to
spaces,
dig the
people-
whole damn
yeah.
thing up.
Yeah.
It seriously would be.
Would it work?
It probably
While they
would.
do it anywhere else. why
I
can't
don't
we?
know why, I don't do plumbing, so I don't
Oh,
know.
well, I read a lot that they do it, so why can't we do it?
So basically just put like a 2-inch PVC right
Inside
there.
of the 3-inch and just drag it through like they do in, when they do the underground water lines here.
So can I ask you something else? Since you brought that up?
Mhm.
Yeah,
What?
since you read about it, you said, so if you take a pipe and you insert it to cover this, right? So what happens to the corrosion? Because it's already corroding.
If it's a plastic pipe, nothing's gonna penetrate it.
It's
Yeah,
gonna
but
be,
it'd break and get into your system.
That's what I'm saying.
how's it gonna
So
get into the system
Well,
if it's a
are you
plastic
gonna put
pipe
the pipe inside?
inside
Yeah.
of it?
Oh, then it's gotta be a smaller one. If this
If
is,
it's a 3-inch, you could put a 2-inch in there.
it's not 3, is it?
No, I said 3/4. So it's a small, I think it's less than 2-inch, because Derek said if we're gonna do this and spend the money to
Oh.
dig it up, we should just go ahead and put a 2-inch. And I think if we went smaller, have an issue with the pressure feeding whatever meters are on there. And we
So much
also
for
have
that.
an ordinance, I don't know if that.
No, it was a good idea, but
Well, if it's 3/4 inch, it's not very big, then what are you gonna do?
No.
1/2 inch pipe?
That's gotta be more than
yeah,
a
see, no,
3/4.
that's not
Yeah.
gonna work.
And I don't know, Sarah
thought it
might be
was
right, but I'm pretty
3-inch.
sure Derek said
You
to
said
go
it's a
to a
2.
2-inch.
But I'm not 100%.
Yeah,
So even if it's a 2 and you stuff a 1.5-inch plastic pipe through there, you still
They
get
won't
your
have very
pressure.
good pressure.
1.5 inch?
Get 2
There's
inch.
a lot of pressure over that.
And like I said, I'll have to verify with
You know
Derek, but I
what?
know he did say 2 inches the replacement he would think to do.
Really, I'd like to go see what they're talking about. Before
It's
we,
covered
you know,
right now.
Yeah, they just
You
covered
know,
it all
we,
last night.
We'll go, me and Frank will
We'll
go.
go look at that and see what they're talking about, you know,
Right.
this and that, and
And
2-inch lines, this and that.
And if you talk to Derek, I
Well,
mean,
yeah,
he'll let
well,
you know, but I
yeah.
don't think the pipes aren't exposed anymore yet. Last night because this is in the middle of Dan Jolly's driveway.
Mhm.
So, yesterday they had to go, I think they went at 3:30. They didn't get done till almost 8 last night hauling sand to go fill in his driveway.
So it's a good idea to go to 2-inch pipe, but the cost is gonna be a lot different than the 3/4 inch pipe.
Right, so we'll have to verify.
It's gonna
what it
cost a lot
is.
more for the 2-inch pipe than a
That would be
3/4 inch.
tremendous.
Yeah,
You know, I just remember the last name. McKelly used to live right on the corner of that little house there. The next house that's further back. I think the last name is White, isn't it?
Stan White,
He,
His son?
he had a ditch witch or whatever you call them, a big one. So we could talk him into digging the damn trench for us.
Instead of digging the old one out, dig another one next to it and just trench it. right?
Yeah,
The only problem I see with that is our liability insurance, that having somebody other than a town employee or a contractor with liability insurance digging. I'm not trying to be difficult.
yes, you are.
I
can tell.
Sorry.
And it's just
Can we
a-
contract somebody to do it?
You have to be right.
Yeah, they have to have liability insurance.
I'm sure we could probably get somebody else. I mean, if there's other people that have trenchers.
Yeah. So I mean, and Derek did suggest if we needed it done like within a week's time we'll need to contract out. I'm just trying to, with him at $20 an hour, I think it would be cheaper but then it might take, who knows how many.
Yeah, we'd probably save money more with somebody to come in with a trenching tool and just trench it out.
Right.
Instead of digging it with a backhoe.
No, they got.
And
Go
I
take
know
the
one of the
backhoe.
main problems going that way is the fiber optics.
Is it in that area?
Yes, at least where this break was, I don't know, coming more into town.
Mhm.
But Derek said, one of the reasons I had to kind of talk with him to convince him to do this for the town, because he was afraid of having to deal with all the fiber optics there. So I don't know coming further in, but
And they did run fiber optics on that road, huh?
I believe so, yes, because Derek, he said that was the only thing that was really out there that they had to be careful with. And right now, like I said, there's no leak pending. Right now, we've got it fixed, but I'm just thinking we probably need to get something in place to get that replaced before it breaks again.
And this pipe's gotta be galvanized, huh? Cause copper wouldn't do that.
I believe so, and that is another thing with replacing it. We do have 10 years to get all the lead and copper pipes out of our system. And I think we're probably a year or two into that countdown, right? It started, which would get one of them out of our way, but
Yeah, but that's replacing the whole thing, not just that piece.
Yeah, and if it's galvanized, we gotta replace it anyway.
And then that
Oh, yeah, I see a lot of
Bagley Bank, whatever you were talking, they haven't lived there for years.
right, and
Yeah.
that's what Derek said,
And
at
one
least
right
down to
next to my
Jolly's,
site.
and I think he said it
He's
was just to
looking right
Jolly's,
at
that
it.
Bagley's it wouldn't matter if we didn't connect them right now.
Mhm.
Just in the future, if they sold it, somebody with the tap, because they do pay their maintenance fee, so they have an active tap there.
Just tell them Mother Nature's not happy. Look at all these faces in here.
Well, he said it's been there, it was installed in the 60s, so.
Well, we just wanted to inform you what was going on with this, and then when we find out, we will run the numbers by the board, so they're aware of it, but it's not
in the
even.
meantime, maybe me and, Bruce
Derek?
could go look at it, this and that, and see what, exactly what's going on,
Okay,
tell you different things you don't know till you get out there and look at it.
You gonna go dig it up?
And they, yeah. If they patch it up, because
I'll be your spotter.
as far as the 2-inch line,
I'll be your
Yeah.
spotter.
too costly right now, you know,
Yeah.
but maybe
And I'll see, how much of, because Derek said he knows for sure, I don't know, he hasn't been here in forever, but that there's a bunch of 2-inch pipe out in the shed, or the yard over there in the shed. He don't know how much there is.
Talking black
Uh,
pipe, right?
how about,
I'm sorry.
Is it black pipe?
I thought he said,
Is it rolled?
yes, I think so. Yes.
There's a lot around it.
has Richard said anything about it? What, you know,
I mentioned to him that Derek said it was over there and Richard said there was nothing there. And then I told Derek, Richard said there's nothing there and Derek said, yes, there is. But other than that, I haven't got an actual confirmation that there is.
Richard's the supervisor, so, you know, we can't.
Do we need to look into a supervisor?
Bueno, señores, señora. So we're going to, we'll let the board know what we find out on that Aspen and Fir water line. We can move on to, that paperwork for SEP. That one is, the town can get a part-time employee, office person, and they can come in and help the girls do filing and no cleaning, but filing. He
No.
can't, he's on the board, but it won't cost the town anything.
But they gotta be over 55 years of age?
That's what this program is. It's a senior community service and they pay them. And they just, 19, 20 hours. And if the town chose that, to, at a later date to, get her, pay the other part-time, get a few more hours or whatever, but for now,
Is this the clean what?
no, this is to help file and answer phones and take payments, trying to help, because, they're overloaded with, trying to get the audits completed.
I think that'd be great if we can do that.
I wanted to get the board's approval so that we could move forward with this. Mr. Martinez has been calling to see if the board had accepted it.
I would say go for it.
I second.
Can I get a motion then?
A motion to go with this, the program of the SEP.
SCR.
Seconded by Bruce and
Yes.
roll call.
Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes.
Mr. Bras,
Yes.
Ms. Gilman,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Romero,
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
Mr. Trio.
Yes.
motion passed. Playground, Levita. And I sent you guys pictures, but I don't know if you got them.
no,
Anyway, pass these down. So, we were contacted by Levita, and you probably know the family. I'll tell you in a minute.
Go, Sarah.
I like this one.
And it's a pretty cool one.
Mhm.
Grant Bonicelli,
There's all kinds of deals.
him
oh, there
and
is,
his brother, they bought the old Levita school. And, they called and asked, Aguilar was at the top of their list of, they want to donate this equipment to us.
where are we gonna put it?
At the park.
And then we could do, the county, I'll get permission from the park, for the little park they own there. We could put a couple of items there. And then whatever's extra, maybe if there's extra, the housing, maybe they'll take something. I'm just saying, so that, it's good equipment. Now, there's only one catch.
Somebody has to pick it up.
You're gonna go
We
pick it
have
up.
to get. He asked me to, don't you have a trucking company there? we have to
They're
remove
more
and I said, we have such a strong board, so we have to remove the playground equipment ourselves.
Remove
And
it.
then, yeah,
Do you have to dismantle it and everything?
well, if we do, like one section, but like he said, we just have to mark it and it'll come in 3 sections. We can load it on a flatbed
Do you have to be insured to do that?
to do what?
And
To go pick it up?
She ain't
Oh,
looking
get the
that
soil
far.
too.
I can talk to Gustavo and his friends to see if they'll go do it. They have a.
But what would they do
flatbed.
with them? A flatbed?
Yeah, they have a flatbed.
It's a lot.
Well, I mean, I can
All that I
ask them.
have there, but wait, and so my other question would be to ask, I have to put in a call to Felix Lopez, the commissioner, and ask him if the county would be willing also to help us.
Do we get the mulch too?
He said, I took that picture and that's why, he said if we bring, huh? No, yeah, but he told me,
What, you get that too?
and he said,
Wanna
if,
see that?
we can have that mulch, he said, I forgot what he said. He said, you can load it on a, dump truck or whatever, he said, you can have it. He
We get
said,
this for the concrete
if-
slab?
he told me that if, I asked him, and he said, if you want that, have that, they can remove it, so we can have that too.
Wow.
Shoot, I'm taking it, and putting it in my house.
And he said it's
No, it's not
only,
for you, but it's
Now,
okay.
He's donating it.
For what reason?
Oh, wait, I gotta tell you. But that was the other condition, the board has to do this rock climb.
Oh, no, forget that. That's done, forget it.
I'm
For
too-
what reason are
I'm
they
too short.
dismantling this?
To bring it tagular. No, why they have to get rid of it?
Yeah,
Because La Vida, they wanted to put a, rec center, and La Vida didn't approve it.
Wow, really?
They wanted to turn that little school into a rec center, and La Vida said no.
Why don't they bring a rec center over here?
is there any safety aspects to this? Because at one time, like us, we had that merry-go-round, we had to get rid of it because it was unsafe.
It's
So
a
This right
liability.
here, this right here, I don't know what kind of material it is. It's like sponge when you walk on it.
But it's a public park too, so we shouldn't be liable, right?
They offered it, I take it back, they offered it to the town of La Vida and they turned it down. And I told them the town of La Vida, because he couldn't understand why and I said, I'll tell you why La Vida turned it down. Because La Vida makes money on their park. They rent their park out.
maybe we gotta
Imagine
start
if
doing
we
that.
did that.
That's what I was saying. I said the same thing to the girls. And I said, La Vida rents their parks out.
and
They
the,
don't let just, I mean, you can have stuff there, but like it's rented
mine.
to these organizations and everything. So La Vida makes money on everything.
I got my own.
But anyway,
in there.
I need for the board to approve my playground so that we can figure out how we're gonna get it here.
We really don't have enough room.
But she
Yes,
said
we
we
do.
can put
You
it,
know what, Mr. Barajas over there, he's selling his motorhome. Once that's done, we can put stuff there too.
well, we got the other part of the park over there by the church too.
But that's not ours.
Or what about
It's the county's.
the,
Housing,
where we burn the trash? Make it a park.
and it's
That's
only
true.
2 years old. The gentleman
Yeah.
said that, it was the old elementary school. The school got a $100,000 grant, and that's what they spent the money on, was that playground equipment. But then
They bought
they ended up building a new schools, and they left that playground equipment there, but he said it's only like 2
remember
years
when La
old.
Vida, I called Sursa also and I asked if, cause that was one of the things that Ken said, you have to make sure it's Sursa approved, and Sursa said, yes, just send him the pictures.
You know, that's not a bad idea, making that park,
That's true.
making that
Maybe
park out there.
if we do something constructive with that park, they'll quit dumping on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be nice. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
So do we want this playground equipment?
I make a motion, we get that equipment provided, we get some assistance or help to get it.
Okay,
I second. I'll ask the old man.
okay,
Mayor
thank
Pro-
you. Roll call.
Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes.
Mr. Barajas,
Yes.
Ms. Gilman,
Yes.
Mr. Romero,
Yes,
Mr. Trejo.
Heck, yes.
Now can I get a motion to adjourn?
motion to adjourn.
Second,
Second, third.
Roll call.
That's the only one I'm good for.
Mayor Pro Tem, Mr. Barajas,
Yes.
Ms. Gilman,
Yes.
Mr. Romero,
Yes.
Mr. Trejo.
yes.
Oh,
Meeting adjourned.
Where's this time go?
I,
We've been
um,
having such a good time.
Linda,
The,
8:20 PM.
I will not be here for next week's